I think
let's not risk it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Everyone just imagine you're
entertainment, isn't it? But it's where entertainment blurs the lines.
It has to be not entertainment. It has to be educational. Or content changing. So if you do a voiceover of something, like say you were to take Prince Andrew's interview and then do a body language thing over the top of it,
that's educational.
That'd be fine.
Oh, so if we did interpretive dance of Gasly's radio message,
just as we go live.
Everybody knows what we're talking about. Hello, everyone.
Hello, YouTube. Hello again to all the patrons.
hello everyone.
Yes. Hi,
all the patrons who may or may not have watched us just on the live feed. Then
Let's see who we got.
oh, Mike McPherson is on.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Mike's joined us. Houston McLean. Obviously,
Good name.
The next Die Hard movie.
Yes.
Yeah, Markman, I don't see the stream.
Jana,
Am I doing
hello.
it right? Open your eyes.
And Niska's still about. Hello again, Niska. So yeah,
I think Gemma's with us. Get well soon.
but yeah, get
Hi,
well
Gemma.
soon.
Hope your face is feeling all right.
Face, tonsils.
Yep,
Still
Mr.
is
Formula
again.
One. I am representing Jimmy G, Niner Nation.
He's not my lover.
You haven't seen a photo of him. I tell you, I would.
Yeah.
Google Jimmy Garoppolo now before we start
Hello,
recording.
Mike.
Is he Carlos Sainz handsome?
I would say he's up there with Carlos.
Who's up there with Carlos?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Really?
Yeah. Oh man, I've got a bigger screen here.
Spelled that wrong.
No.
Ah. Oh, he's
No.
pretty handsome. Do you know what
He looks like your man from Maroon 5.
He looks a bit like Cal Crutchlow's like younger, better looking cousin.
Cal Crutchlow.
He does, especially there. Look at that one.
Yeah, a bit actually.
He looks like if Mark Webber and Danny Rick had a baby.
And,
Right.
and Crutchlow was the surrogate.
Yeah, just before we got going, yes, I was sweating bullets at the end of yesterday's game, and it didn't finish until 1:45, so I've been walking around like a zombie all day.
It couldn't be me. I'm physically incapable of sweating because I got scared once.
Jimmy GQ.
Somebody says your Paul is Mansell. With that sash. Yes.
That's the best one yet. That is a lot better than Fat Flanders. Sorry, you're deafening YouTube.
Don't
Then.
die, Flanders.
Right, I'm shutting the laptop so we don't see any of the comments and get disturbed
Until the Q&A later.
until the Q&A later on.
Enjoy, play nice, be good to each other, and we're about to start recording the pod.
Be excellent to each other.
You can take that as well if you want.
We good to go?
As
I think
Dylan
so.
said. Hi and welcome to this week's 3Legs4wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with.
Dan, Chris,
Lee.
Have we recovered yet?
from the race?
Yeah.
From the weekend in general?
Well, from the weekend, but mainly the race.
yeah, I think we're just about recovered.
It was all right at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I should probably pass you the notebook if we're doing the podcast.
I was going to say, can I have a running order, please?
You can.
Do we agree it was pretty boring up to that point?
Up to
It
what
was-
Up to
point?
when everything went fucking batshit crazy.
It was okay up until the first pit stops, and then that's when it sort of hit the lull after everybody stopped once, because you knew everyone was going to stop again, so it's just going to be hold position, second stops, and then you're going to get a big run at the end because somebody might try different strategies.
There were some 1 or 2 stop strategies. What's going to go on there? And then Bottas's engine went, and he pulled off safely in a boring place where they could just push the car backwards.
Except they couldn't push the car backwards.
Yeah.
So they had to
Yeah.
get a safety car out there. And that's when it started hitting the fan.
And by God, did it.
Yeah. It really did.
I don't know where to describe it. And the Bottas thing, apparently the car got stuck on a bump. It wasn't stuck in neutral,
Right.
honest.
What lap did that happen to? Because he seemed to be stuck for quite a while.
55, 51?
So was it that late? I can't remember.
That's what I think
I'm
did
going
it for
to have to
me.
look this up.
Because at the start, like we want to see Max versus like Lewis Hamilton as much as possible.
I mean, we kind of saw it.
We got a couple of
Yeah.
goes of that.
But I think it became very obvious fast that Red Bull totally had the legs on Mercedes
Oh,
this
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, they did.
I think the only reason Hamilton was up there with Verstappen is because he's Lewis Hamilton, and where that car actually deserved to be was probably somewhere between where Hamilton was and where Bottas was, somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
So I think he outperformed the car this weekend.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Struggled with it. Do you remember Max saying a few weeks ago that Red Bull weren't expecting to win any more races?
Yes.
And I
They
said,
always say before they win.
yeah. And I said, well, that means they're in contention to win in Mexico and Brazil then. And lo and behold, okay, one in Brazil, Mexico, after a slightly dodgy start, great recovery drive. So 2 really good races after we said they weren't going to have any more decent races.
Also, Brazil.
They are learning bag sanding.
They are.
But Brazil hammered it home to me how boring qualifying is. I
didn't see qualifying this week.
It's just, do you know what? I'm getting towards the point of just not bothering watching it.
I think the problem with Brazil, it's sort of made qualifying look worse because it's such a short track. It's like
no one
Hungary.
goes anywhere.
Remember what was the last Hungarian Grand Prix before they changed qualifying to the current format, when it was just the 1 hour. We didn't see a car on track for the first 20 minutes.
But we've only had like maybe 1 or 2 interesting qualifying sessions this year, I think.
The Q3 is usually pretty good shooting out for pole when the clocks run down to 0, and there are still cars out there on hot laps
over an hour for 10 minutes.
Yeah, but
But again, the problem is if somebody gets into Q3 when they're not expecting to, like K-Mag did, they've only got 1 set of tyres, so they don't come out for the first run.
Which again, going back to what Lee has said before, totally negates the tyre rules, and we need Jolyon Palmer's tyre thing. Yeah, well, not extra set.
No,
let them choose.
Let them choose.
Let them choose. If they get through to Q3, well, then they've lost a set of tyres.
Yeah.
But let them choose what tyres they start the race on.
Or why don't Pirelli just bring 10 sets of soft tyres for Q3? No one goes into Q3 and doesn't choose soft tyres.
No. So if everyone's got one set of soft tyres.
Well, they give them back, don't they, the Q3 tyres? Yeah. That's the thing.
Yes, but the teams try and strategize around what tyres they're going to use, which means, like you say, if a team doesn't expect to get into Q3, they have to be very careful.
I see, okay.
So if Pirelli bring 1 or 2 sets of tyres for everyone who's going to be in Q3, not allocated to the teams until the very start of Q3, then that's not bringing more tyres than would be brought anyway, but it's stopping some teams getting screwed over by doing well.
I think it's time for a shake-up of qualifying.
I think so.
Reverse grid races.
It was the way forward, and it's been fucked off. And part of me was thinking of this the other day. I wonder if that was, we were surprised how much of the 2021 rules have come forward.
No mention of that.
I wonder if the qualifying races were almost put forward as a dummy because they knew the top teams would hate the fucking idea of this. So if we put this forward and say, well, look, one of them's happening, so you either go with the rules or you go with the qualifying races.
That's playing hardball.
It could well be. But yeah, I mean, the current format of qualifying on track, certainly on tracks like Brazil, does get dull because it's short. There's not much running. You're looking at what was pole time? It was about 1:07.
Yeah.
So that's now.
I think it's quicker than that, but
it works at Spa.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was literally just about to say that if it's at Spa, you got to have time for an out lap and then a hot lap. That's nearly 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Wasn't Spa where they were all trying to drive as slowly as possible so they weren't getting a toe off each other?
That was Italy.
It was Spa and Italy. Hulkenberg slowed right down at Spa.
There's been a lot of that this year because for whatever aero properties these cars have got, all of a sudden the slipstream seems to be very valuable to cars in qualifying. But to me, it just needs, like, we've had the same qualifying now for an awful long time.
Yeah,
I like the way that Indy does qualifying on the road courses, where the timing line for the start of the qualifying lap is before the pit lane entrance. So you do 3/4 of an out lap, then you're on your flying lap, and then you can go straight into the pits, which means you've got more time. You're not wasting time with an extra in lap.
That's a bloody good idea.
And you've got more time to do more qualifying laps.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I mean,
because the first time I saw it was when they were racing at Kota, and I got incredibly confused by the fact that somebody had set a time and they were already in the. By the time they announced what the time was, they were already pulling into pit lane.
The only issue with that is you couldn't do that in Formula 1 because we don't have enough tyres.
So if mix that with there are extra sets of tyres available for qualifying.
Yeah, or just qualifying tyres. Go back to that rule. Mm-hmm. Where really soft tyres and everyone qualifies on it. I quite like the if they don't want to do the reverse grid races, which I think would work quite well. I quite like the old PlayStation setting where if you didn't want to sit there for an hour and for an hour session, okay, you can sit in the garage and skip through it. You got a 20-minute session. Yeah. One 20-minute session.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. I still think you could do it in testing. Like you could practice. You could set your times for over the course of the FP1 and FP2. Have your quali runs through that. That's what you could set like a Saturday sprint race with. If you didn't want to do reverse grid.
Yeah.
So everyone knows that you have to get your times in at some point over the weekend.
Kind of like MotoGP does with FP4 really being Q1.
Yeah. But it would
Q0.
It would make free practice seem more interesting because the commentators, when they're doing it, would be clocking the fastest laps of each driver. So you could have like the session fastest times and then a separate board for where the drivers sit at the moment for the sprint race. Lee fixes Formula 1 again.
But then get an extra session in there during practice for young drivers. Everyone puts a reserve driver out.
Could do.
Yeah, the first practice maybe. But anyway, we had an interesting Grand Prix. We've gone off on the rules of Formula 1.
Yeah, we did. We'll start at the back.
Let's start at the back and go straight in, head first.
Well, no, it was more side on.
It was side on.
It was not a bad race for Ferrari until they ended it.
Ended pretty poorly though, didn't it?
Apart from the last 10 laps or so,
I agree.
The first 50 something were pretty good.
As a percentage, it wasn't a bad race.
In 1985, no one died. In 1986, there was the incident with the pigeon.
Yes, apart from that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
No, but Ferrari were having an okay race, weren't they? I mean, they were off the pace comparative to how they were earlier in the season, sort of just after the summer break. But they have been for a few races now, and conspiracies around that too. But the whole
cheating.
Does anybody around the table think? And I put this out on Twitter earlier. I'm going to have a look in a minute and see if I got any replies.
I'm glad we're not looking at the YouTube comments during this bit.
Does anyone think Charles Leclerc was to blame? Lee thinks Charles Leclerc was to blame
because Vettel is worth 18 Sennas, and he wouldn't have made that mistake.
So, in the real world, with the three of us that are actually tied to reality, no.
It was. I was unsure until
not Leclerc's fault. Sort of Vettel's fault, but it's just one of those things, really.
No, I was unsure until I saw the head-on view, at the end of the straight when the cars are heading toward the camera, and then when I saw that Seb had a car width and a half, maybe a bit more than that, and still went that close to Leclerc, who did actually try and pull away from, pull left of Seb, and Seb still hit him.
What I would say is, I think in any other team, in any other situation, if you had a teammate coming up behind someone at such a vast rate of knots with new tyres when you've had tyres on for, I don't know, a decade, they'd have been asked to move over. And
yeah,
and
rightly so.
Yeah. If that had been, I mean, maybe Lando and Carlos are a bad example here because there's a real loving going on there. But I think if that was
we think that happened as well.
Yeah. I think even if you're going to race someone like Vettel had every right to not let Leclerc through, but to be so aggressive when he's gonna get past you anyway, you're never gonna hold him up with the tyres he's got for that long. It was silly, and it was the new Sebastian Vettel that we thought he might have been shaken off himself.
Yeah, another Vettel mistake.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Esteban Ocon is probably sat there going, nobody mentions me with Brazil now.
Esteban Ocon's probably sat there going, why did I sign for Renault?
There's a Ferrari seat available. Hulkenberg might get a seat yet.
I hadn't even thought of Hulk. That's a good call.
Yeah, because I mean, both Ferrari drivers have been summoned to Maranello
Today, strangely enough.
Right.
I mean, Binotto said on Sky at the end of the race.
And the reason we're talking about Ferrari first is they are the only team to double DNF. So they are literally the worst team in the race.
And caused a DNF as well.
Yeah, they did.
But, Binotto said on Sky after the race, I don't know if any of you guys caught it, that they were going to sit down and have a chat during the week about this.
Mondays during the week.
Yeah, I took that to mean, let them get unpacked after they've got off the plane.
I think what it was even in like the post-race interviews, both drivers were still fuming with each other. Like Leclerc was a little bit more reserved.
It's easy to be reserved when you're right.
Yeah, he was a bit more reserved, but Vettel was very short with his words and clearly very angry.
See, I don't see...
This is Danny and Verstappen in Baku all over again.
I don't find Leclerc when he's being sort of reserved. I don't find it reserved. I find it slightly passive aggressive and a little bit pompous and arrogant.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he wasn't flying off the handle and throwing expletives here, there, and everywhere.
No, but he didn't need to because he knew when they get down a room to debrief that he knew it wasn't him that was going to be shouted at.
Yeah. He moved over to let his teammate through, and his teammate hit him.
Yeah. Does anybody else think that we are, if we didn't see Sebastian Vettel's last race, we are about to see his last race in Abu Dhabi?
I don't think that. No. Not for a second.
Do you think he's going to be in Ferrari next year?
I think both of them will be in Ferrari next year.
We had a conversation, didn't we, today on our chat thread about what you do with Ferrari. And I said that they need to have it. That Ferrari work best when they've got a solid number one and a solid number two, like your number one and your number two. But occasionally, the number one driver has to play number two. It just happens every now and again. Every now and again. I mean, you could argue, rightly so, that Hamilton is number one at Mercedes and Bottas is number two. There are occasions when Hamilton has to be number two at Mercedes because Bottas is having a better race.
Yeah,
you get team orders that are team orders for the season, and you get team orders that are team orders for the race, where someone's on a different strategy, or your best guy is having a bad day,
or the old McLaren one of whoever leads into the first corner is number one for that race.
Yeah.
So that's how Coulthard and Hakkinen used to do it.
And then you get the ones for the season that are Fernando Alonso is faster than you.
Yeah. We don't have a number one and number two driver. We've got a number one and number 1A.
Yeah.
That was one of Ferrari's.
That was Schumacher Barrichello, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think the problem Ferrari have got is they've got two drivers which, as far as pace goes, and certainly race pace, maybe not all the time in qualifying, they've got two drivers which are incredibly similar in pace, which means they're 99 times out of 10
going to occupy the same bit of track.
99 times out of 10. That's a lot of times out of 10.
It is. And the problem is you've got a Vettel which has gone back into this close quarters combat.
He's desperate for a win again.
I think, and he's desperate to stay on top of
Leclerc.
But see, the problem I have here,
and Leclerc is desperate to prove that he's better than Vettel.
Yes, but I think the problem Ferrari have got is I don't believe either of those people can, unless they're given a car which is much better than everything else around them. I don't think they can beat they can beat Hamilton or Max. Either of them.
That's not their main problem. Their main problem is even if they go into 2020, they turn up at Australia and they're like Brawn.
If they've got an equal car, they will be beaten. That's their problem.
No. Even if they have a better car, even if their car is like Brawn, 8/10 faster in Australia than anyone else, and they don't even have to try, Leclerc and Vettel will lose in that championship because they're constantly trying to outdo each other.
Yeah.
That's why you have to have a sit down, in my opinion, and you have to decide this is happening. You're going to be enough because Ferrari having two number one drivers doesn't work.
No,
it just doesn't. Ferrari at some points this year had the better car. And they threw it away.
But that's what you either need. They either need another driver that's better.
They need someone who will be a number 2. They just have to decide who's their number 1.
Or they need someone that will be faster than whoever else they've got in the car.
Oh, they need to get Bob Fernley in because he managed to sort out Perez and Ocon and stop them from hitting each other for about 3 days.
Probably because he said that if one of you hits another one again, I'll hit both of you.
I still stand by what
that might be what was said in the minutes of the Maranello meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, but who's going to hit Vettel and Leclerc and
yeah?
Do you know what I mean?
I reckon Binotto could do that.
Don't forget, there's still a Ferrari on the Ferrari board.
Was it
Piero
Ferrari. Or Pietro, it might be Pietro.
Yeah.
Pietro
it's the guy. It's the Italian guy in the very expensive suit that never takes his sunglasses off. If somebody dressed like that gives you the hard word, you follow.
Well, the thing is, if they've been summoned to Maranello, that to me says board meeting.
Absolutely, but. I see. I'm not willing to get on the train of Leclerc until he's got a proper teammate. I don't consider Vettel a proper teammate.
Broken Vettel, you mean?
Yeah.
And because Vettel on his top game is incredible. He's a great racing driver.
You stick Leclerc and Verstappen or Hamilton and Leclerc in the same car, and Leclerc and Verstappen would murder him over the course of a season.
Hamilton, you mean?
Yeah, but or Max.
Yeah.
If you stuck either of those as Leclerc's teammate, Leclerc would be murdered over the course of a season.
Possibly.
It's a
I think
almost a Bottas.
No, possibly, because I think Leclerc is still maturing. We've said a couple of times on the podcast that Leclerc this season is very much like first season Hamilton.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's as good as Hamilton.
No, but his temperament and the way that he gets himself into some kind of positions, much like Brazil.
Yeah.
Is very kind of first season Hamilton. He's still got a lot to learn, but he doesn't think he's got a lot to learn at the moment. Until he realizes he's actually got a lot to learn, he might not be the best he can be. But I think he's quick. He's got the pace. He's already a race winner. He's got more pole positions this season than anyone else, and no one can beat that now.
I think with where he is at the moment, he could, in the same car, sometimes beat Hamilton and Verstappen in races.
Valtteri
in a
Bottas
championship,
can sometimes do that.
No, not yet.
But Valtteri Bottas can sometimes beat Hamilton.
Yeah, but only when he's had his porridge.
I would say that
and his coffee.
He's been murdered this year.
I would say Leclerc would do a much better job than
I think he'd do
Bottas.
A slightly better job than Bottas.
I think he would be better than Rosberg.
I don't think he's better than Rosberg. I don't think he's better than Rosberg at all. I can't. Yeah,
but I mean,
Rosberg was far too close to Hamilton's pace.
But that was going to be my next point: was that Hamilton and Rosberg were two kind of number 1 drivers, and Mercedes were just fortunate enough to have the car that was so far ahead of everyone else at that time. Had Hamilton and Rosberg still been teammates now, and Ferrari had still stuck with Kimi, because Kimi, even as a world champion, was quite willing to be Sebastian's number 2 driver.
We'd have been looking at a Vettel World Championship.
Almost certainly, yeah. Because there wouldn't have been the early season tussles between Vettel and Leclerc. And, Vettel would have been allowed to scamper off instead of fighting with Leclerc in a couple of races early season. Those points could have been vital. And Hamilton would have had points taken off of him by Rosberg. So having a number 1, and it's totally switched now, because Mercedes have a number 1 and a number 2. Bottas is a good driver, don't get me wrong, but he's not the number 1 at Mercedes.
No.
And Ferrari have always operated under that. And just because it stopped, working for them, just because it wasn't working for them, seems folly to just completely abandon it, because that's almost exactly how they've operated in all the modern days since Schumacher joined in '96. So more than 20 years they had a number 1 and a number 2. When Schumacher left, it was Alonso. Well, eventually it was Alonso, but you know what I mean. Raikkonen first, and then it was Alonso.
Although it turned out inadvertently to be Massa for one season.
I'm not sure he was the number 1 driver at the time.
He was just winning.
Yes.
Yeah, but the season after Raikkonen won his world championship, he forgot how to drive.
Yeah.
But again, Kimi was quite willing to be a number 2 driver, even though he was a world champion. And I don't think if you sat Vettel down, which is the point I was trying to make earlier on our chat thread, I don't think if you sat Vettel down and said, look, you have to do the job for Charles that Kimi was doing for you, I don't think he'd say, yeah, that's fine. I think he'd go, Absolutely not. I'm a much better driver than Charles Leclerc. And this is not going to get solved unless someone solves it. And
I don't think Vettel has the temperament to be a number 2 driver over a season.
No. And that's what I think would be the major problem.
Major problem.
So he may accept team orders in a race.
And you said, congratulations, you've got Giovinazzi and Leclerc as your drivers.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Because you'd said that you would fire Vettel if he wouldn't accept being number 2.
Well, you've got to play the team game. You've got to play the team game. Anybody who's not willing to play, not willing to be number 2 when they're asked to be number 2.
Are you talking about across the whole season or during one race?
In any particular situation across the season or a whole race, because
you've now got Giovinazzi and Leclerc as your drivers.
You got Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg's free. Hulkenberg's going to be an amazing number 2 at Ferrari, but he's not going to be on Leclerc pace. Hulkenberg will be as good number 2 at Ferrari as Bottas is for Mercedes.
But
who's he replacing then? Vettel?
We've lost.
Yeah, I think so.
We've lost the podcast.
Yeah.
When did it stop?
About 2 minutes ago. For some reason.
So let's try and rewind and make that argument coherent.
I thought I could just start the thing. For some reason, when I tried to charge the laptop, is that good?
Okay, YouTubers. When we talk about technical difficulties.
This is the kind of shit that goes on.
What did you say at the end of the Patreon pod, Lee?
I know, yeah. No, I hadn't plugged it in, and for some reason it's passed against charge.
Max. Flawless.
Oreo?
No, I'm alright, thanks.
Yeah, I'm good.
Does anybody on YouTube want an Oreo?
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to. Tell you what, shall we just have a quick look at some comments?
It's alright, well, we're done now. We can start recording the podcast, but obviously there's going to be an edit in the middle of this.
Edit in the middle of the podcast, but not for the YouTubers. You see, normally you wouldn't notice any of this. You see, this is extra material for which you don't get charged, so it means that we're better.
Yeah.
We're giving you more for free.
Whereabouts did it drop out?
No idea. No idea. I was busy trying to fix it.
Should we have a listen and find out?
I've closed the thing now. I've got a new thing up. I think it was just after I was talking about Leclerc, but yeah.
So there's going to be many files.
Yeah. 2 files
each. So that's 8.
No, yeah. Well, yeah. 2 lots of the podcast.
So what argument do me and Dan have to make again?
Don't know.
This is going to be seamless, isn't it?
No.
Oh, absolutely.
I think if we go into Bottas now, then we should.
Well, no, because we were talking about Ferrari because they were the first on the list.
We covered most of that. We missed about a minute of what we were talking about.
I'll put some kind of disclaimer in. So sorry about that. Feed broke down.
Yeah. Cool.
Just do it now.
Watch it on YouTube. I'll bump it in when I get home because I'll have the exact point to do it, and it's easier to edit at home than it is to do it here and then cut and edit and paste. And
right. Okay, so have we got any more to say about Ferrari then before we continue recording?
No extra points other than where we
would
have been.
Yeah.
No. I reckon we just crack on to the next team.
Right.
On to Racing Point next. Perez got points. 2 of them.
Yeah, Racing Point had a difficult weekend. They were right near the back for most of the weekend, and then unsurprisingly, Lance Stroll went out in Q1 again.
Not shocked.
No, not at all.
What is it? Twice he's made it through this season.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, well, I was kind of hoping that he would have picked up the pace a bit late season, but he just hasn't, especially not on single lap pace. Perez had one of those races where we didn't really see him at all. He was there. He was on screen every now and again, but just got on with it and managed to pick up a couple of points, which for Racing Point at this time of the year is not a bad result. Getting a couple of points.
Getting a couple of points wasn't a bad result. The other teams getting even more points was a very bad result.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the other teams around them, because it looks like they might miss out. Is it the 7th place they might miss out on now? I think.
Yeah, I think the more or less guaranteed 8th now.
Yeah,
well, Toro Rosso,
Alfa have jumped them, haven't they?
Toro Rosso and Alfa scoring.
No, actually,
Alfa
Alfa haven't. Alfa are on 57. Racing Point are on 67.
Oh, right.
Well, we don't quite give them enough credit.
So where are Toro Rosso?
Toro Rosso are 6th on 83.
So they jumped Racing Point then at this race.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, they lost. Getting 2 points is good, but the fact that Toro Rosso and Alfa scored a bucket full of points, not so good for them.
No.
Unlucky for Lance Stroll.
Unlucky, he was
second race this season. He's had bollocksed up by Vettel.
Yeah, he was a victim of the Vettel debris, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Felt sorry for Lance Stroll actually because he wasn't having a bad race. He was doing okay.
Above Perez, wasn't he? For most of the race.
Yeah, he was doing okay.
Yeah.
Again, that's the thing with him this season though. He's got absolutely 0 one-lap pace, but he's getting a bit racier.
He
just needs to check his mirrors a bit more often.
I don't know. It's
and the road in
strange. He's never going to deserve to be there. I don't think. I think that's my problem with him.
I think just by the way that he's come into Formula One, there's always going to be questions over him. Even when he does something like gets on the podium in Baku. But I mean, this was a circuit where this is the thing that you've said about him since he started. He's good at point and squirt, brake.
It's exactly
90-degree corner.
It is, isn't it?
Point and squirt. Brazil actually isn't. There's some effort.
Lots of half throttle and
the effort. I remember you describing Interlagos a couple of years ago as two straights and someone's dropped a curly whirly for the rest of it.
Sounds right. Sounds like something I'd say. Can't remember saying it, but yeah, it stacks up.
I think I said that about the Korean Grand Prix as well. The track in Korea, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, nobody could find that one though. But yeah, I mean, Stroll was actually doing okay on a circuit that you wouldn't really have expected him to do anything major on. Right up to the point where, well, he ran over most of Seb's floor and then lost a front wheel. But yeah, Perez was truly anonymous during the race.
Yeah, odd one as well. Like usually when there's some tyre saving to be had, he's right up there, isn't he?
Well, the temperatures messed around, didn't they, with everyone's tyre temperatures because they thought the softs and the mediums would be the way to go. But because it was so hot, the hard tyres actually worked a lot better than everyone was expecting them to. Track temperature really ramped up on Sunday. So this is why I advocate Sunday morning warm-ups returning. Yeah. But because teams might know that then and be able to
adjust accordingly. But
Perez doesn't seem to be able to do the sort of magic with this generation of Pirelli tyres that he could a few years back.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when the tyres were having not so much thermal deg, but they just got to that point where they'd run out. Yeah. And where you had someone like Jenson Button, which was always really good at managing tyres, but that skill was sort of negated that year, wasn't it? Because they just ran out when they wanted to run out.
Yeah, I was going to forget the tie going on Vettel at the Belgian Grand Prix that year.
Absolutely.
And Silverstone when everybody's tyres went.
Yeah.
Apart from that, not really a great deal more to say about Racing Point because we didn't see them do much apart from finish 9th in DNF.
Yeah.
Right, Haas next.
Who had a really good weekend.
Except for the last bits of Sunday afternoon.
They were... Grosjean was having a really good race. He was 7th for most of the race, and then he took a gamble on I don't know if he took a gamble on a stop with the safety car, and it just was timed poorly, or if he didn't stop.
He was having a misfire at one point, which lost him 3 places towards the end,
and
which is what sent him out of the points.
He was bumped down and out of the points. So unfortunate for Haas. Kevin Magnussen finished 11th, but both cars through to Q3 as well in qualifying for the
first time since Spain.
Was it the first time since Spain? Was it? Yeah, it was. I knew they'd managed it early doors, but that's
so like Ferrari. They had a good race until
they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, Gunther Steiner was saying on Saturday that he knew it was going to be a struggle for him on Sunday just because of the temperature. This time it was actually too hot to get the tyres working properly, and with the lack of downforce they've got in the back of the car, then both drivers were expecting the rear end to be really skittish. But they seem to be managing it well up to a point on Sunday when it just fell off.
Was it more down to just craziness where they fell off? Because didn't Grosjean pick damage up? Didn't he? He had an engine problem. That's why he felt back.
Yeah.
Magnussen was punted off the track at some point
by Ricciardo right at the start.
Yeah. I think he was racing with damage for most of the afternoon.
So a real shame for them. That could have been. It could have been the race we expected from Haas. It was like one of the races last year.
I just want to say when Magnussen and Ricciardo went into that corner and we saw Magnussen going around, it was just like, oh, what's K-Mag done now?
Yeah,
not his fault.
Him. No, not his fault in the slightest.
Ricciardo's penalty. Fault. What do we think?
He caused. I don't know you were talking about warning flags, weren't you? But he caused someone's race to be essentially ruined. Magnussen could easily have finished in the points.
Yeah,
because finishing 11th from a recovery drive from there. I think 5 seconds is fair.
I think it was Ricciardo's fault.
Knowing that he had to stop again anyway.
I think it was Ricciardo's fault, but I also think if he'd done the same move to somebody else, they probably would have give him a bit more room. Give
Ricciardo a bit more room, you think? Oh, okay.
So it's like one of those ones where it's again to go back to Button. I think we said it with Magnussen in the
not like Ely.
I know, but where we said it with we said it with Perez when Perez was in McLaren, and Perez was like being a bit leery with things. I think back then we'd say, well, if that was Jensen, he wouldn't have allowed him to get in the position to have an accident. I think a better driver than Magnussen wouldn't have allowed themselves to be in the position to have that accident.
The thing is,
I think that's what warning flags are for. That driver conduct.
Yeah, well, driver conduct, but you'd already called the
driver conduct when
I think you're being a bit of a naughty boy. You've just caused an accident. Don't cause another.
No, but I don't think he didn't necessarily drive into him. It wasn't a stupid move.
He slid into him.
Yeah, and it was one of those ones where. If
Magnussen left him enough room.
If he had that much more grip, it would have just been an amazing overtake.
Yeah.
And I don't want Formula One to be the sport that discourages people from having a go.
No, not at all.
So I think, and it's a little bit me thinks, fucking Magnussen's hit enough people. Like sometimes the yin is going to be on top of your yang.
At least this time we didn't think it was Grosjean that was in the gravel, though.
True.
No, although early on in the race when Norris and Grosjean, their transponders dropped right off the.
Oh yeah,
it's like Norris and Grosjean are 19th and 20th. Oh god, what's happened?
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was just a transponder issue, and it was just was it when Lando was passing Grosjean.
Yeah,
and it was just like, well, did they knock each other or something and just like put their transponders out for a lap?
Yeah, McLaren were actually panicking about that until they saw Lando drive past the pit wall.
Imagine what Lando's parents were like. The transponder drops. He's just past Grosjean.
Yeah,
his mum's on her knees in the paddock. Go, why now?
And if she was, Lando would have had somebody filming it, and we'd have seen it on Twitter.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it could have been a better weekend for Haas because it did actually promise more than they were expecting by Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
All right, Williams, remarkably late for half of them.
Yeah, Williams probably could have gone behind Haas, but there was a Williams driver between the two Haases.
Yeah,
George Russell. The other participant was a lap down on George Russell.
He got to unlap himself once.
Yeah, he unlapped himself from the leaders, but he wasn't allowed to go round again and unlap himself from everyone else the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was quite lucky for Russell because of the safety car, he did get to catch up a bit and finished higher than he probably would have done otherwise.
Yeah, they were writing it off, weren't they, right from the beginning of the weekend. They were like, we're going to be nowhere near. But even in qualifying again, Russell was half a second quicker than Kubica.
20-0
so
far.
With one
also
to go.
Really unlucky that no one got a DRS penalty to give him just that 1 point.
Yeah. It's a shame because he deserves a point just for getting the car to do things.
Oh yeah, he deserved that to be in the position to get that point that Kubica got.
I put it on the live blog for the race yesterday that was probably Williams' final chance of scoring any more points because they're not going to score They're not going to score any points in Abu Dhabi, I wouldn't have
It
thought.
very rarely throws up surprises, does it?
Yeah, very rarely.
I'd imagine it's got a pretty high finishing rate as well.
Apart from people pulling out of the pit lane with 3 wheels on.
And Hülkenberg finishing upside down with an on-fire car.
That'd be a way to go out.
And Schumacher nearly having his head taken off by Force India.
Yeah, was it the other way around? Didn't
No.
Schumacher end up on top of
No, I
Force
think
India?
Schumacher nearly collected one in the grid.
Can't remember that. I just remember the Schumacher one in Singapore.
Schumacher and I think Liuzzi, when Liuzzi was a Force India driver, one of them went backwards. I thought Schumacher went backwards and Liuzzi ended up on top of him.
Yeah, that was at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's a really boring race and nothing happens.
Yeah, it is. To be fair, it is a really boring race.
I like the circuit. That's the thing. The circuit looks really good.
The circuit
and it's fun to drive on the PlayStation games.
The circuit looks like a circuit from the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but if they had 0G cars, great.
Yeah. I still
But they haven't.
think Brazil should be the last race of the season.
I don't know. Abu Dhabi puts on an event for the last race of the season.
Yeah, but the racing is usually no good.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Brazil puts on a show.
Yeah.
And we don't know why the fans were singing, but they were singing something at the end of the race. Because Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
I think it should be France.
What, and then make the last race of the season optional? Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Double points, Paul Ricard.
We don't live blog it, we
No.
don't podcast it, we don't tweet about it. The season finishes the race before France.
In the event of a points tie, the championship is just decided with a thumb war.
Right, Renault next. We're on the subject of recovery drives. Ricardo,
Pretty good, yeah.
20th at 1 point to 6.
Yeah, benefited from the safety car periods and was able to maximise points. Renault were desperate to keep McLaren behind them as well, and after
They didn't quite go about it the right way.
no, after
By allowing them.
by allowing them past, yes, yeah. And on Saturday afternoon, I think they were chuckling to themselves that Carlos was starting 20th after his engine failure.
Yeah.
And possibly could have started from the pit lane with all of his, having to replace anything. Lando not making Q3 for the first time in a while. So Renault were probably chuckling to themselves for a bit, thinking, "Oh, McLaren aren't going to score very many points here." Wrong. Very wrong. But I don't know what happened to Hülkenberg.
I think he's checked out.
Think he's checked out.
Yeah.
He was having a good old chat with Bruno Senna before the race, so maybe he's going to go and do something with Bruno Senna somewhere.
Yeah.
He crossed the line just behind Magnussen, didn't he? And then got a 5-second penalty.
Oh, he
on
had a
top of that.
5-second penalty. Yeah, good point.
Yes,
yeah.
he did make made an overtake under the safety car. So I think
I've forgotten about that. So yeah, thank you, Dan. Yeah,
he was 13 seconds down, which turned into 18 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think was he ahead of Magnussen? Did he cross the line 11th and got dropped?
Being 13 seconds down would have put him in 12th.
so just
so it
ahead of
would've-
Russell
yeah.
and behind Magnussen. So yeah, that's where that's what happened to Hülkenberg. But Danny Ricciardo, after that early incident with Magnussen, managing to climb up to the top 6 is a good result for Renault, and they've had a
That's dumb luck, though, isn't it? Because
It is, but I mean, there was a lot of dumb luck going on in the race.
You've got to be there for the dumb luck
Yeah,
to work.
he stretched did he stretch the tyres out to the safety car?
I think so, yeah.
And then there was a safety car, so
Yeah.
why not come in?
Free pit stop.
Yeah.
You make the most of it. It's like I've always said. When there's shenanigans, you've got to be in a position to benefit from them.
Yeah.
And there's your mention of shenanigans
Yes.
for the people who were commenting earlier.
Yes.
Well, it's something Danny Rick's kind of made his career on as well, isn't it? Because the difference is when he was in Red Bull, these races where he had the chance to sort of excel,
To capitalise.
he'd win.
Yeah.
So it's one of those ones. If he'd been in a slightly better car, he might have been a scratch podium or something like that, like Carlos did. But is this the worst Renault year we've seen since they took the team over? Really? Because we expected so much.
I think the expectations were higher.
Which time? This current Renault that took over Lotus, or
This
the
current
or the
Renault.
last Renault that took over Benetton.
I don't know if it's the worst in terms of results, but it's probably the most disappointing.
In terms of expectation.
Yeah. Because last year they weren't quite where they should be, where they were hoping to be by the big plan. But this year they're not where they were last year.
Yeah, I was going to say they've gone backwards because they were best of the rest last year.
Yeah.
Now their engine's best of the rest.
Who's in Renault last year? It was Hülkenberg and
Sainz.
We'll come to him later.
Yeah,
we'll come to him. See, I mean that it just shows there's something odd with the Renault sort of family, if you want for better words, when you look at how McLaren's rejuvenized Sainz.
It works. McLaren works for Carlos Sainz. I don't know that Renault was a. I don't
think Renault seems to be working for anybody.
Well, Renault was a help me get out of Red Bull call, wasn't it, from Carlos Sainz, really?
Don't forget, last year at Renault as well, Carlos Sainz was still technically a Red Bull driver and he was only on loan.
Yeah.
So he'd still got the pressure of Helmut Marko hanging over his head.
I think when your name's Carlos Sainz, I don't think the pressure from Marko means anything. I think because he was a good enough driver to get a race, drive somewhere for his own merit. If he didn't have the Red Bull seat, then
he made the move that Ricciardo didn't.
Yeah, he'd have got the McLaren or the Renault drive.
Yeah.
He was going to have a drive. So
yeah,
I don't think you push a Sainz around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his dad's not as hard as Jos Verstappen.
Oh, I don't know.
Dad doesn't claim to be as hard as Jos Verstappen.
Yeah. Carlos Sainz Sr. versus Jos Verstappen.
I think Carlos Sainz would hand Verstappen his own eyebrows.
Don't know. Be an interesting one.
I'll tell you what. That should be the next celebrity pay-per-view boxing match. Fuck this Logan Paul and KSI bullshit.
Yeah. Could we throw Mark Marquez's dad in there as well?
No, we've got to put Jan Magnussen in there.
Also, it's now Mark and Andy Marquez's.
Yes, it is.
Alex Marquez?
Alex.
Yeah.
I knew it began with A.
A pair of Marquez's.
Yeah.
I believe it's a pride of Marquez's.
Yeah, what's the collective noun for a group of Marquez's?
A podium, probably.
Podium of
overtake.
Yeah, a trophy of Marquez's.
A kick Rossi up the arse of Marquez's. Should we do Mercedes next?
Yeah.
Well,
I seem weird saying it this early.
Yeah.
Well, there are 4 teams ahead of Mercedes. Four teams ahead of Mercedes.
4 teams ahead because Hamilton, all right, he crossed the line third.
Yeah.
5-second penalty, admitted responsibility, said completely it was his fault in the interview and to the stewards as well.
And also on social media.
Yeah, so there is no doubting that it was Lewis Hamilton's fault.
Apart from when Albon was in the pen, he kind of made it sound like it might have been his fault.
And when we were watching, when we thought it was neither of their faults.
I don't think it was
on a first
penalty
glance.
worth.
No, I didn't. I was surprised to hear that Lewis got a penalty because I didn't, as you said, I didn't think it was worthy of a 5-second penalty. But the incident itself, there was no malice in that incident. Hamilton said, "I thought he was leaving me the door open, so I went for it."
He did leave the door open.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, the racing line through that corner, it does cut in on the apex very tight. Mm-hmm. So Albon was always going to come across there because he was ahead and he had the racing line and he had the right to do it.
Yeah, but
it's just that Hamilton hadn't quite got in front of him far enough
Hamilton was
to not be sliced up.
But with that logic, you can't overtake. Do you know what I mean? You're always to overtake someone. You have to take the racing line off them and push them out.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Hamilton had the right to try and get his car to the apex before Albon cut completely across. It was just mistimed. It wasn't no malice in it. It wasn't like I'm going to ruin your race. I'm taking you out to try and get past you. Because Hamilton also placed the Gasly anyway. So to me, it was a strange penalty, but the outcome of it I was very happy with.
Yeah. I think Lewis's main issue was with that. I think he thought his tyres had a little bit more grip and a little bit more temperature in them than they actually had because he was on fresh tyres at that point.
Well, Lewis didn't hit Albon. Albon hit Lewis.
I thought you were going to say Albon hit Albon then. No, we're not doing that one again.
No, he left the door open for Lewis. Lewis stuck his car there. Albon didn't think Lewis's car would be there and he turned in. This is why it's a racing incident. Albon left the door open.
Hamilton tried.
Lewis went to go through. Albon drove into Lewis. There's 50-50 blame there. So I don't think there should have been a penalty.
But by the rules, it's clearly Alex Albon's corner.
Yeah.
But he could have chosen not to have that accident
Exactly,
if he knew Lewis was there.
I think the top and bottom of this is, again, it's sketchy rule decisions.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Are we letting them race, or are we going to penalise them if they touch each other?
I wonder if they would have called that as a racing incident if it had gone to the stewards rather than Lewis saying, "That's on me."
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
But he Verstappen himself then.
A little. No, because I think Verstappen didn't do it on purpose, whereas I think Lewis said, "I'm taking this penalty."
I think it's now known as Prince Andrewing yourself.
Enough. Bottas obviously DNFing with his engine failure,
which looks like it was caused by just being stuck behind somebody for 5 laps and not cooling the car
at altitude, because Brazil is not right. It's not Mexican altitude, but it's still quite high.
I think it's still the second highest circuit on the calendar, isn't it?
I think so, yeah,
possibly. I don't actually know, but the
if Sean's on the YouTube chat tonight, then just let us know.
Mm-hmm. But I just want to point out again a kind of strategic disaster for Mercedes.
Oh God, yes, it was a crap race for them strategically.
But yet Lewis Hamilton, even though the championship is over, still extended his lead.
Yes, yeah. I think the problem was it wasn't so much a crap race for Mercedes. It was just the fact that no matter what strategy they tried to throw, they didn't have the car to win. You know, if they'd have pitted Lewis when Max pitted, they come out behind Max. Max stretches his advantage again. The only thing I'd wonder is Lewis on the restarts seemed to heat his tyres up quicker than Max. You know, when he was pushing forwards and then pushed
in terms of general pace and just
Max had it. He had it. He had
the whole package for the Red Bull package was just brilliant. Mm-hmm. Honda engine. At that altitude and temperature.
Out-dragging Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Interesting. Enough to make Fernando Alonso weep.
Yeah. And look at Gasly and Hamilton going for it on the line as well.
Yeah.
Gasly held his own. Mm-hmm. Fair play.
And, of course, no Toto this weekend.
No Toto.
I think he did all right staying at home.
Do you mean he was in no Toto?
Nice.
Yeah, I just wouldn't like to see the state of his furniture this weekend.
What?
Well, he'd have been smashing tables at home, wouldn't he, rather than ones in the
I
pit
think
box.
this is Toto on his way out. There's been rumours that he's going to leave before 2021, hasn't there?
Yeah.
I think
mainly started by you.
I think this is the beginning of James Allison taking that team over as team boss.
He was in charge this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was just a race weekend off.
I wouldn't mind betting that maybe if even the fact of Andrew Shovlin, so he has to do a thing, so he can't make a race. There was a medical thing.
Yeah,
but then he was fine for the back-to-back one the week after. It makes
it was Bono. Was that?
Bono. Oh, sorry, Bono. Yeah. It makes me wonder whether there's going to be more of a team shuffle there. So it was a chance to.
Hamilton's talking about his contract post 2020.
Yeah,
and he's saying that he wants to know the management structure of the team before he decides what's going on.
It will be very interesting to see who from the Mercedes F1 team is at the Formula E race next weekend.
Maybe
Saudi Arabia, is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
I don't see Toto taking over the Formula E team.
He's head of Mercedes-Benz Motorsports, isn't
it? Would not only would it be a demotion. I think the thing is when you've had so much success like he's had in a sport which is all consuming. And you're a married man. He hasn't got a child yet, has he?
I think he has.
Yes. Does he have a baby?
Yeah.
But I think there has to come a point where these people step away so they can have a bit of a life outside of what they've been doing. And also Toto hasn't been the same since Niki Lauda died. He's been a much more solemn person.
You lose a close friend like that. It's going to, it's going to have a serious effect on you.
So,
but I think he'll be at the Formula E race next weekend as a figurehead. But I don't think he'll be running operations. He will be just there like Dieter Zetscher used to be.
No, I can see that, but I don't see him taking the team.
But isn't Toto ahead of Mercedes-Benz Motorsports?
Yeah,
not just Formula One team.
Yeah, he is overall.
He's like the old Norbert Haug role.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just quickly, while we mentioned Formula E, does anybody give a fuck about Formula E starting?
Yeah, be interesting to watch.
Yeah. See, I think they've squandered all of the hype that they built with the new cars by once again really poor social media and media management.
I was surprised to find out that the race is next weekend.
I only knew because I still follow Stoffel Van Dorn on social media after.
Well, he's asking for fan boost.
Yeah,
I hear he's not difficult to follow.
No, he's got.
No, he's very difficult to follow because you usually end up passing him.
He's got a load of new merch out, obviously, because him and Nick De Vries are the Mercedes Formula E team, and they're pushing their merch quite hard at the moment. Doesn't look as good as a Formula 1 team merch. No.
So they're obviously on some kind of pay-to-play affiliate deal.
Probably.
It's still got Tommy Hilfiger on it. Tommy Hilfiger, Mercedes, and then some companies I've never heard of.
I like the idea of that. If you want to keep me driving, if you can just follow the link in the description.
T-shirt link in bio.
Yeah. That's Mercedes T-shirt at vandorn.com.
Don't go to the McLaren one. I'll put a redirect on there. So yes, not a great week. Not a great weekend overall for Mercedes, basically.
No.
Right, Alfa Romeo, nosebleed territory. The best result for them for the Sauber-based team since the BMW days.
Yeah. A fourth and a fifth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kimi Räikkönen fourth. Very quietly.
Fantastic result for Giovinazzi, though.
Giovinazzi.
Absolutely.
Because Kimi Räikkönen made Q3 for the first time in a while, and it was just that was nice to see. Seeing Kimi in Q3. But then Giovinazzi was 14th, 15th, somewhere around there.
Yeah, got into Q2 and didn't do spectacularly in that.
No, and it was just like Giovinazzi. He just as we start talking him up a little bit because he's starting to improve. He's gone and done that.
As he grows under, he's signed his contract for next season, so he's checked out.
But no, decent race, and also one of the best social media posts after the race as well. There was a lot of samba going on track, but me and Kimi decided to go for the Paso Doble. I was like, yes, that's good. I like that, Anto Giovinazzi. Brilliant.
That was the first race I think he's had which warrants him being re-signed.
Yeah.
It was a good race.
It doesn't make it seem stupid.
No.
If he's improving that much.
Yeah. I was surprised to see them 5th and 6th after all of the incidents had happened. And I was like, wow, 5th and 6th. But then obviously with Hamilton's penalty, that dropped him below the Alphas. And so a genuine 4th and 5th for Alfa Romeo is brilliant for them.
Even if they'd been 9th and 10th, that would have been good for Giovinazzi being up there with Räikkönen.
Yeah. But as it turned out, the highest team points scorers.
I think Red Bull still scored more with, but combined points, if you will. Yeah, to get both cars. Yeah, Alfa Romeo 2 points scoring cars, 4th and 5th. No team did better than that.
Yeah.
Red Bull very nearly did, but Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to see Albon up on the podium.
It would have been. Yeah, I was on for a 9-pointer as well in their predictions at one point.
Yeah.
Ooh, that hurts.
Yeah, I said I had Verstappen, Hamilton, Albon.
Funnily enough, nobody got more than 5 points on the website league.
I'm not surprised.
And even more funnily enough, nobody got more than 3 points in our predictions. But we'll get to that in a bit.
I'm not surprised.
Anyway, McLaren. Not said that for a while so late on. Lando Norris.
Mm-hmm.
What did he do to help Sainz?
Don't know. I don't even know where he went in the race either.
His tyre strategy was a bit wrong. They
nailed him for a 2-stop, was he, from the word go?
I think so, yeah. His tyre strategy was a bit wrong, and I think he pitted a few laps before the safety car, so that no point in bringing him into pit again because he just stopped. So he missed out there, and I don't know if it was the first safety car after the first safety car period, but Norris and Sainz were running line astern, and because at that point McLaren realised, well, we just put fresh boots on Sainz, he's going to be far quicker than Lando. They let Sainz through past Norris, and then Norris just kind of didn't hold everyone up, just kind of held station and made sure Carlos could scamper off into the distance a bit, not worrying about any kind of attack from behind until the second safety car period. So Lando did a few laps between safety car periods of kind of helping Carlos out, who was on faster tyres.
Bizarrely, by kind of holding up cars that should have been faster.
Yeah, cars like Perez who was behind him. I don't know, Perez in the Racing Point, not necessarily, but Kvyat was having a go as well. Kvyat and Perez actually had a bit of a dice, didn't they? But these are cars that Norris has been ahead of most of the season.
Yeah. I don't know if Lando's had a good season this year. I know it's his first season, but when you look at what Carlos has done, I think it's difficult to say Lando's had a good year.
I think he's had a good year. He's not been as close to Carlos as he would have liked.
But if he doesn't get on top of Carlos at the beginning of next year fast...
Yeah, he's got to be aggressive.
I would say he has had a shit year because he has much more potential than the results he's had show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. He's clearly got the pace. He's been faster than Carlos at times, but every time he appears to be ahead... Something happens.
Something blows up.
Yeah.
He's a question,
or someone blows up further down the road, and like this race, he's just pitted, and he's not going to get the positive.
Please, internet, don't murder me on this. I love Lando Norris as much as any normal red-blooded male should do, but he still looks a bit like a rabbit in headlights, even now at this point of the season. Are we maybe seeing Lando, if he doesn't sort it out quickly next year, being yet another driver that's been brought into McLaren a bit too young?
I don't think so. He's
McLaren have history of not doing the best with young drivers.
Yeah, they do, but I think this is it's a very different McLaren to the historical one, and because McLaren lately have not been all that great, there's less pressure on young drivers.
I think there's a load of pressure on Lando right now because of what Sainz is doing.
No, I don't think
I think Van Dorn had less pressure on him than Lando's got.
No way, not a chance.
No, Van Dorn was the Great White Hope and then just got destroyed.
Yeah, early on, perhaps there was more pressure on Van Dorn, but towards the end of even his first season, it was quite clear that Alonso was always going to be better than Van Dorn as long as they were teammates.
But then look what happened to Van Dorn.
Yeah, he got shot away. Alonso had it written in that he had all the preferential treatment. He had all the upgrades. Van Dorn had to deal with whatever it was he had, and then was somehow expected to be as fast as Alonso. And even Fernando Alonso came out and said, "Look, with what's been going on with this car, Stoffel shouldn't be that close to me, even though he was still 4 or 5 tenths off."
And Norris isn't Van Dorn.
I hope not. I'm just asking questions here. I hope not.
I think if Lando Norris this season had the same performance as Van Dorn in his last season at McLaren, that is beaten in every race by his teammate, Lando Norris is still more of an asset to McLaren because of his social media.
Social media and his age as well. What he needs to do is just...
I think he's helped Carlos Sainz out as well.
I think you're right.
He's helped Carlos chill out a bit.
But I think you keep a Formula One drive through pace. I don't think you keep a Formula One drive through tweets and live streams.
I think you keep them through team building.
Maybe.
I think he's an excellent number 2 for Sainz.
For now.
Yeah.
But next year he does have to be more aggressive. It's all well being like the joker of the pack and things like that, but he's got to know when to be serious. I mean, he's admitted he still gets really nervous every time he drives Formula One cars. He says every time everybody clears off the grid and leaves me in my car, and I'm like, I'm driving a Formula One car.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But there's still a bit of rabbit and headlights.
A little bit, yeah. But I mean, he was being hassled first lap, and was it Leclerc when he was on his way through? The second lap, I think it was, forced his way around eventually. But I mean, Lando, he didn't give up straight away. He didn't just yield. It was just like he had a decent
fight with it.
Yeah, he had a good fight. He lost a few places, but I want to see Lando being a bit more aggressive. Be a touch, like be a meter later on the brakes.
I can't help thinking either that it hammers home to me that George Russell's been really lucky this year with how it's landed for him. I think he's had the perfect building year. When you look at him in interviews and stuff like that, he's so much more calm and poised than any of the other rookie drivers are.
Yeah.
I really do think that being at the back of the grid, demolishing his teammate in that team has really steeled that driver.
Yeah, there's
a quiet confidence
not much
about him.
Opportunity to do much.
No.
But there's also, if all you need to do is beat your teammate in every race, and you're doing that comfortably.
Yeah, usually half a second a lap faster than them, sometimes over a second.
Yeah. Well, that means Kubica's been schooled by a rookie.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody else but Russell to fight against, so he's brought it the best he could. I don't think there's nothing more that he can do with the tools that he's got at his disposal.
But he's never downhearted, and I mean, sometimes we do even hear, we're talking about McLaren, I know, but sometimes you do hear Lando Norris seem a little bit like, I could have done better than that today, but, you know, things happen. Sometimes you hear a little bit downhearted Lando Norris. You never hear George Russell being downhearted.
Look how Kubica has been.
Yeah.
Like, Kubica has thrown Williams under the bus at times for that car. And a little bit of me wonders, maybe when we see Russell against another teammate, and if he's still half a second quicker than whoever gets the drive, we might be thinking, actually, maybe Kubica was doing an okay job, and Russell's just a bit special. Yeah. Because I was surprised that Latifi didn't go quicker than Kubica when he got in the car.
Well, if you think about the tests that Russell has done in the Mercedes, he's been damn quick.
He's been, yeah. I mean, I think he's going to surprise people when he gets given a car that's capable of doing it.
And he'll move up the grid. He's at Williams again for next year, but he'll move up the grid eventually.
I think he'd be in a Mercedes in 2021.
Possible, very possible.
Because I mean, at the moment, the only place. Oh, will he? Because in 2021, the McLaren will have Mercedes engines.
He might be Lando's teammate.
Yeah, maybe.
They might actually put him in there if the situation with the big boy team isn't quite there yet.
I don't think they'll keep Bottas after next year.
But if they've got the chance of a Vettel or a Verstappen to partner Hamilton,
I wouldn't take Vettel.
or a Ricciardo, then you've still got George Russell. Well, you've got McLaren buying your engines. Want a discount?
I think Ricciardo's fucked. Like, I genuinely think he's done, because unless Renault can do something to give him a car to show what he's capable of again, you are forgotten so fast in Formula One.
Oh, this is the Microsoft Zune of team moves.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah, you're right.
Unless that seat opens up and Ferrari want Ricciardo, and they just pay Renault all the money in the world to prize Ricciardo out that seat, and weirdly Hülkenberg stays at Renault. You know, that's always a possibility, but we've
got an entire winter to do conjecture.
We have,
but we haven't actually
super conjecture now as well, haven't we?
Well, we haven't,
because we're going to talk about next year, and constantly all the way through next year talk about the year after.
But we haven't actually mentioned Carlos Sainz properly yet.
Right,
last place.
When it looked like he was in fourth, he was my driver of the day.
Yeah.
Now he's definitely my driver of the day.
And props to McLaren for putting him up on the podium.
You've just done something on the laptop as it crashed again.
No, it's fine. He's my driver of the year.
Yeah, I think he's my driver of the year as well. Mm-hmm. You sure we're okay? It looks like it stopped recording.
No, that's fine.
That's still going. That's all right then.
Yeah, no, he's my driver of the year. I don't think anybody else has done a better job than he's done with what he's got. Even Lewis Hamilton, I don't think has done as good a job as Carlos Sainz has got.
I mean, the McLaren has been the surprise package of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they consolidated fourth in the championship. I don't think
they have now guaranteed fourth. They tweeted out just after. I think they gave a respectful amount of time after all the Carlos Sainz podium tweets, and there was like a little footnote. So it's like, oh, by the way, we're guaranteed fourth now.
Yeah.
So that they are they are getting closer to where they used to be and miles ahead of where we thought they were going to be 2 years ago.
Do you think Alonso's pissed he left? Do you think that car, as good as it is this year, do you think that would have been
Alonso's podium?
Yeah, but do you think that would have been enough or if he hadn't already scratched the podium somewhere, to be perfectly honest, but do you think that car has shown enough improvement now that it would have energised Alonso?
No,
you don't think that's enough?
I think he needs a car that can win races.
Yeah.
Alonso has been angry since he didn't get an electric shock in Barcelona.
No, well before that.
Maybe he was replaced with an evil twin.
You mean a good twin?
Maybe he was replaced with a twin.
But Carlos Sainz's performance on Sunday was nothing short of amazing. I mean, he was screwed after qualifying.
Last to fourth, regardless of the fucking lucky podium.
Yeah.
Last to fourth was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Even if he hadn't, if there hadn't been a few smashes, he'd have been
last
fifth.
to seventh before the safety cars was pretty much driver of the day.
Yeah. I mean, all right. The second safety car, he was one lap down because I think Gasly was the last one not to have been lapped.
Yes.
But considering that everybody from 7th downwards had been lapped,
I think Gasly had been lapped as well, hadn't he?
I don't know. To be honest with you,
he might have. I'm not sure, but he was right at the front of the best of the rest,
and he would have had the best podium hair in recent memory.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just a shame we didn't actually see the podium on TV. Do you know what I mean? I wish they'd got the sort of like the 2017 US Grand Prix when Verstappen was there, and then was it Kimi turned up, or the other way around? Can't remember. Yeah, Verstappen.
It was Verstappen got demoted. Didn't
Verstappen was there, and then Kimi turned up, wasn't it? Or Vettel turned up. I can't remember. One of them turned up. Anyway, the US Grand Prix in 2017. When eventually Ricciardo got third anyway, because somebody else got a penalty.
Bob Constanduros, the podium announcer, has volunteered to give Carlos Sainz a ring and shout champagne down the phone just because he missed out on it.
Champagne!
He has tweeted him at
I'll
show it to the camera.
Absolutely the most pointless job in Formula One.
But how much is he earning for doing that?
Yeah, but they played samba music at the end of the. They normally play the victory music. They played samba music, which I thought was quite cool.
Yeah, I like the victory music though.
Well, no, do it individually.
Yes, but
it's so
I like
old.
different Grand Prix having their own
different
things. Yeah,
I'm still upset that they never did the WWE entrances in Austin again. That was great.
Yeah. You want those little things that make each Grand Prix different, don't you?
Make
like the Renault Ninjas
were
were amazing at that Grand Prix. Do you remember the guys who jumped out from on top of the garage?
Yeah.
Renault Ninjas. Fantastic.
I've forgotten about that. Right. Now we're really into nosebleed territory because it's Toro Rosso, second. Second one down. I mean,
Gasly qualified brilliantly. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Kvyat didn't. He was out in Q1. But Gasly to get into Q3.
Really good race for Gasly, regardless of the podium.
Yeah, he was there and thereabouts. He was having one of the races.
Then the podium makes it. Oops, sorry. Podium makes it excellent.
He was having one of those.
I'm excited by Gasly.
He was having one of those races where he's having one of the races that Carlos Sainz usually has.
Yes.
Qualified in the top 10 and was staying in the top 10. You thought he's quietly having a really good race, and then all of a sudden things happened. And Gasly was second. I was like, what is going on?
And fighting Hamilton and winning.
Well, defending brilliantly. Yeah.
Like
and Hamilton said post race, he was completely fair. He put the car in a place which made it really difficult for me to get traction out the last corner.
Yeah.
Placed his car very fairly, and I wasn't able to pass him. So well done, Pierre Gasly. After all he's been through this year as well, and we were talking, is he going to be in Formula One at the end of this year? Is he going to retain his seat? Is Kvyat going to retain his seat? Well, they've both retained their seats for next year.
I still think he's kind of in a bit Formula One no man's land now, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but both drivers.
He's obviously not a good Red Bull driver.
Yeah,
he's obviously a very good Toro Rosso driver because he came fourth last year in a Toro Rosso.
Maybe he's not a very good Max Verstappen teammate driver.
Possibly.
That could easily be the case.
I think it's got to be more like the car because he just couldn't get any speed in the Red Bull.
Or you're overdriving it, trying to find that
possibly
time that Max seems to be able to get out of it.
I mean, it's harder when somebody's got so much control over the car as Max has, and so much natural pace. Mm-hmm. And you're expected to keep up with them, and they're just doing things on a completely different level to what mortals can do.
Yeah. I mean, look at the terrible seasons, this season and past seasons that Kvyat and Gasly have had.
Yeah.
They've both got podiums this year.
Yeah. Well, look at until the craziness happened in Brazil, like Albon got crushed by Max pace-wise. He didn't look like he was going to threaten the podium at all weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was about 45 seconds behind at one point on the same number of pit stops.
Yeah. Whereas Max was fucking.
Max has
since
always
he turned the wheel, he was a race-winning contender.
Well, he's always got it dialed in Brazil anyway, hasn't he? He's always been a very special driver when it comes to that.
We may as well say this is doing the top two teams at once, and it's usually Mercedes and Ferrari, and this time it's
Toro.
It's all the Bulls.
Yeah, and all the Hondas.
Yeah.
Albon finished 14th, and I do feel sorry for Alex.
He deserved
Albon.
to be on the podium.
Yeah, he deserved to be on the podium. It would have been strange if it was an all Red Bull podium, if it had been Verstappen, Gasly, and Albon. But unfortunately, it does mean that Alex Albon is now the only Red Bull driver not to have got a podium this year. Mm-hmm. Yes, Kvyat podium, Gasly podium, Verstappen couple of wins.
Yeah.
I think the thing you do need to say about Red Bull this year, Hannah Schmitz, their senior strategy engineer, was on the podium. How many times this year have we said Mercedes fucked the strategy up?
A few times.
Ferrari fucked the strategy up.
Pretty much every race.
Yeah.
Red Bull fucked the strategy up.
Don't say that all that often.
No. Hardly ever.
Never.
No.
Yeah, so props to Hannah for getting Red Bull into a race-winning position in a few races where they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Austria, for example, they weren't really on the pace at all until Max put those soft tyres on towards the end of the race.
And then was monumentally on the pace.
Yeah.
Well, was the pace.
There's been times where Red Bull has clearly been the car that should come fourth at best.
Yeah.
Because there's two Mercedes, two Ferraris up there, and somehow they've won.
I do still think that this Red Bull is a step backwards, though. Car-wise.
Yeah, I think that's what Dan's trying to say. The Red Bull is not the best car out there, but they've made it look like the best car out there.
They're the best team.
It was this weekend.
They are the best team.
I mean, it is always difficult for a team when they move to a new engine supplier, because the whole ethos of what you build the car around is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
And they've been racing for how many years with a Renault-shaped hole in the back of it?
A lot.
I don't think it's the same, though. It's not the same as changing engines when you've been able to have that engine running in your satellite team for a full season.
Oh yeah, it's not as big a jump. There's still going to be differences that you've got to contend with, but you're a little bit more prepared when you've got another car that's your test bed.
I can't help think that if Ron Dennis hadn't vetoed Sauber getting Honda engines with the extra data, that McLaren could have been back quicker than what they have been with Honda.
I think if Ron Dennis hadn't done a lot of the things that Ron Dennis did, McLaren and Honda could have worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, there were definitely foot-based issues caused by the discharge of a handheld projectile in the Ron Dennis area.
But yes, the one of the first things Fred Vasseur did, if you remember, when he went into Sauber, was tore up the Honda agreement. Said absolutely no way are we going with those engines. We're partnering up with Ferrari and calling ourselves Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, which was a smart move for Sauber.
Yeah, totally.
It was a smart move.
Possibly even saved the team.
I think it did. Yeah, Fred Vasseur's done a great job at Sauber. Yeah. Andrea Seidel, since he's coming at McLaren, fantastic job.
Oh, he's been the boy, hasn't he? Yeah. It just goes to show what difference a person can make to a whole team. Especially, like when you think of McLaren, the size of the team and stuff, but yet a person can come in and shake it up that much. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, McLaren started to fall off when Ron went the first time, or stepped back the first time, and Whitmarsh was in charge.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of that particular end for that version of McLaren. And Ron only came back in just to rescue the mess that the team had got themselves into because the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And then it turned out Ron was the wrong guy.
I think...
it might not even be Ron who was the wrong guy.
I think Whitmarsh was sort of thrown under the bus there. I think he was the right guy for McLaren, but Ron didn't want not to be the guy. I think he had to run McLaren with a fucking satellite Ron floating around.
I mean, that's the thing. It was an impossible job for him because he's taken over the job of the guy that still owns 25% of the company.
Yeah, Whitmarsh's McLaren is still the last McLaren win, isn't it?
And of course, 2/3 of the last three McLaren podiums haven't got to celebrate their podium on the podium.
Yeah, and the best championship position as well. And Button was second behind Vettel.
Was it Button 2013?
2011.
No, the last.
The last win was 13.
Yeah, 2013.
Yeah.
Obviously, the World Championship winning year in 2008. That was still Ron era, wasn't it?
That was Ron. Yeah.
That was. I think that was the last Ron.
Yeah, and then 2009, terrible McLaren because they pushed so hard in 2008.
Yeah.
And then 2010, I think
decent McLaren, some wins.
I think Hamilton and Button were in with winning the title going into the last race, but they were miles off.
Yeah. It was a mathematical chance, wasn't it?
It's amazing, isn't it? We're talking about a Red Bull win and we've gone back to McLaren.
Yeah.
It's just like the old days.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just like the old days. But I mean, this is the kind of team progression that you got to look at, and Red Bull were dominant from 2010 to 2013, utterly dominant, and they're still able to pull wins out of the bag. They haven't fallen away like Williams, for example.
Yeah.
Like McLaren did, went away and sort of they're on their way back up now. So it's still going to take them a few years. Red Bull have always still been that top three team. They've been solidly the third best team for a while,
easily, but they're still there.
Yeah.
They're still within that.
At least the third best team.
Yeah, it was it was just how it showed this weekend. Formula 1.5, no car in that was more than a second and a half closer in qualifying to Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no other team that you could see winning a race.
Yeah, the top six were within. It was something like, I think it was about 6-7 tenths.
Yeah,
and then there's a 1.5 gap to seventh.
I still believe Mercedes are going to smash so many dreams next year.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, because the rumor is they stopped development roughly mid-season.
I think it's pretty obvious they stopped development.
I'm pretty sure the Formula 1.5 has been won by Carlos Sainz as well. I'm pretty sure nobody can pass him now for that best of the rest position.
Let's have a look.
Albon could still get him.
Sainz and Gasly are tied on 95 points, but Gasly is classified as 6th because he has a second place finish, and Sainz only has a best of 3rd.
And Albon's on 84 points, so Gasly could actually still outscore Albon this year.
Yeah.
So it's not tied up at all.
It's not. Basically, it's going to be a straight shootout between Sainz and Gasly for who gets 6th.
Yeah, well, and Albon could have a decent Abu Dhabi.
Albon could be in there, but he's got to outscore the pair of them by 11.
Yeah,
I'll be surprised if Sainz doesn't win that, because I'll be surprised if Sainz doesn't finish ahead of Gasly.
Sorry, he's got to outscore. He's got to outscore him by 12, and get a second place.
No, just 12 will do.
What? Sainz.
Sorry, if Albon outscores Gasly and Sainz by 11 points, he's got to get a second place.
Yeah,
that'd be a bit difficult to do, I'd have thought. But I think
double points Abu. Oh no, double points Abu.
No, we don't talk about that.
But I think McLaren will suit Abu Dhabi, and I think you'll probably see Carlos Sainz finish 5th.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in our preview next week. But it's a mixed circuit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rockstars and wankers then.
Oof.
Mercedes, wankers. Ferraris, wankers.
Stewards, wankers.
Well, also rock stars.
Could have made the decision sooner, and then we'd have seen Sainz on the podium. Rock stars, Sainz.
McLaren in general.
McLaren.
Yeah. Gasly.
Max.
Yeah. We've not really talked much about him. He drove a fantastic race.
Yeah.
He put his foot down from the off, and he had the measure of everybody else.
Yeah.
You know,
it looked like Hamilton on a good Hamilton day.
Yeah, that pass.
Vettel in the old Red Bull days.
The pass that he did on Hamilton.
Yeah. Brilliant. Mm-hmm. Absolutely brilliant. That is world class.
It was the first race that Kubica has actually done anything in.
with that pit release.
Yes. Yeah. That's the first time he's made his presence felt in a Formula One race this year.
Yeah, he did get a penalty for that, but I still wonder why.
He's got penalty points as well.
I still want.
You get 2 penalty points for every 5-second penalty anyway.
But I still wonder.
Vettel was in danger of being bumped back up to 9 points if the stewards had given him a penalty for the off. He's on 7 at the minute, which I think is the highest one on the grid. But Vettel doesn't lose any points until June next year, so he's got to be careful.
Yeah,
6 more points. Well, 5 more points, and that's a ban.
Yeah.
Are you listening, Charles?
But yeah, the
did he get points for that?
In the end, no.
Crazy,
because there was no penalty.
But Lewis gets 2 penalty points and a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
Isn't it strange?
Yeah, whereas Vettel does a move that basically ruins his team's chances of a decent points haul, takes his teammate out of the race and himself.
Yeah.
But it's something that we've seen probably 100 times in races this year.
Yeah.
And all that's happened is cars have moved a little bit and swapped a bit of rubber.
Yeah, but it was I don't know why he felt the need to go over so close to Charles Leclerc. He had he already had the line for the corner because Charles kind of moved over and went, can't really defend this because he's on fresh tyres and DRS.
Wind? I mean, it was windy there.
Windy,
everyone was complaining about
it. It was Charlotte was on the fresh tyres, wasn't it?
No, it was Sebastian was on the fresh tyres.
Vettel was on the fresh tyres.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
No, Vettel was on fresh tyres and had DRS behind Leclerc. Excuse me.
Oh, I thought it was Leclerc trying to overtake Vettel.
No, it was
Vettel. Leclerc.
Right, fresh tyres, DRS.
So I've got my Ferraris mixed up. So in that case, it's even worse because it's just petulance. I thought in my head I had it as Leclerc trying to get past Vettel, who had tyres on for ages, but it wasn't. Vettel had pitted. And
Vettel was behind Leclerc because he'd stopped, and then Vettel was on fresh tyres, had DRS.
I had no idea.
But he was easily going to fly past him anyway. He didn't need to do that.
Should have done it on the main straight.
Could have done it anywhere.
Dragged him up the hill.
Could have done it anywhere.
Oh well, do you know what? I've changed my opinion. It was Vettel's fault for hitting him, but I don't think Leclerc should have defended his.
He wasn't. He was out. He was moving out of the way and drifting further out of the way.
I don't think he was moving out of the way. I think because
he was moving out of the way.
He was moving, but he only left him a certain amount of space.
About a car and a half.
Vettel had about a car and a half width on the outside of the circuit.
I stand by. He should have let him through.
He kind of did. Vettel drove into him.
He still because you didn't. There wasn't a lot of room on the opposite side for Vettel.
There was loads.
No, Vettel shouldn't have hit him, but I don't think he should have. He shouldn't have been so close to him. It was so obvious he was going to get past. That's changed the whole thing for me with that.
No, there was loads of room. Leclerc left him loads of room.
Oh no, and there was only like a wheel, and then there was a wheel gap between him and the grass.
Between who and the grass?
No way.
Vettel.
I'm getting my phone out
to
replay this.
Let me see.
There's not. So you've got a bigger screen to watch it on. From the front view, there was absolutely no way that Leclerc had any part to play in that at all whatsoever. He was in the middle of the circuit. He pulled to the middle of the circuit to let Vettel pass, and even when Vettel was coming through quite close, Leclerc even moved left a little bit more out of his way, and Vettel still hit him.
I'm just looking for it here, and there isn't a decent picture anywhere. But yeah, have a look afterwards because Vettel had a lot of room and was still drifting over to the left.
Yeah, no, but he was going to get past it. It was stupid of Vettel to hit him, but I think at that time it was stupid for the Ferraris to fight each other.
Leclerc wasn't fighting. He was like he basically moved out the way to let Vettel through.
I'll have to have another look at it, because I thought they were having a tussle with each other.
I'd love to see the YouTube comments going on right now.
Yeah. They're flashing away there.
I'm checking my Twitter to see if anybody responded to me. Did anybody in the world think that it was actually Leclerc's fault? So I think I found the one person is Lee.
Any other rock stars and wankers? Can we think?
Oh, I've got 20 notifications.
I don't know. Talk amongst yourselves. I want to find this out.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through this. I've got Carol B saying that would be a negative. John Bazowski saying no.
Bazowski is the B and Carol B as well. They come as a pair.
There you go. Mike McPherson saying no, back to regularly scheduled programming. Ruben Hernandez says Seb had room, but instead of keeping the car straight, he moves to the right. It was left, but yeah. He did the same thing in Canada and almost took out Hamilton. The Canada incident got him a penalty, though. It's almost like Seb forgets this isn't NASCAR. 1 for Martin, 2 for Martin. Balaclava Bolt says, I bet Dan does.
No, right. This is Leclerc's fault.
It's not at all. How are you seeing that? I'm coming around.
First of all, Leclerc overtakes Vettel into turn 1.
Yeah, because he had DRS on him. I'm
right.
Around here. This isn't good podding material.
It really isn't. So I'll keep talking here. I'm not seeing this.
No. Vettel's on fresher tyres.
Yeah. Right.
So Leclerc moves to the middle of the circuit. Where you go?
Right. No. Watch the amount of room he gives him.
Leclerc.
There is not a lot of room here.
He's not started overtaking him yet.
No, but this is why he's got to go left.
So Vettel's wheels are on the white line at that point.
Still on track.
But he has to go left. He has to go left.
It's not Leclerc's fault. Look how much room there is.
There's not that much bloody room. It's less than a tire.
Car and a half.
But Vettel could be over.
There's about a wheel's width between Vettel and the white line there.
So you're saying it's Leclerc's fault because he didn't move out of the way to be overtaken?
Yes. Because on used tyres, it was going to happen anyway. Any other teammate would have done that. And I tell you what, Sainz and Lando or Hamilton and Bottas.
Not Leclerc's fault. 100% Vettel's fault.
Hamilton, if he was on old tyres and Bottas was in front of him with the potential of getting on the podium and pushing forward, would not have overtook him into T1.
Possibly. But he put himself in that position. But that's not the issue. The issue is Vettel hit Leclerc.
No, but I don't think there's not as much room there. I don't see it.
So why did Vettel go for a gap that wasn't actually there if there wasn't a gap?
No, there was a gap there, but I think that
it's well more than a car's width.
I'm still saying that Vettel shouldn't have hit Leclerc. Yeah, I'm saying Leclerc is not blameless.
No, I think Leclerc is entirely blameless.
I'm not having it. Not having it.
If Leclerc moves over to the middle and that's the line he decides to take because Vettel's coming down the outside.
I don't normally do the comments. I don't normally look at the comments, but unfortunately I've just opened the browser window and I am showing Guest 5's What the Fuck Are You Talking About, Lee? There you go.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. But, he wouldn't... I don't see why, if Leclerc was struggling for pace and you had Vettel on new tyres... He overtook him into turn 1.
I don't think Leclerc was struggling for pace as such, but he felt he could go past Vettel. But then obviously, if you've got somebody behind you on faster tyres and DRS, move over.
Don't get me wrong. Through. The touch is stupid, and you are right. There's no reason for him to keep drifting there, but he didn't have a huge amount of space there. It's a stupid Vettel mistake. Don't get me wrong.
It is.
But Leclerc put himself in the position for that to happen.
So he should have stayed on the line and let Vettel go down the inside?
I think he should have... I think given what they
maybe stayed in Alfa Romeo.
Maybe. I think given the position they were in, he didn't play a team game. He played a Leclerc game. That's my point.
Through turn 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, through turn 1 he did, but he knew he was going to get past again. So he moved over.
He did squeeze. He definitely still squeezed Vettel. He wasn't allowing him past.
No, he didn't squeeze him. There was more than a car's width, much more than a car's width. About a car and a half's width there.
There was about a car and a wheel.
He squeezed him by moving out of the way.
And even still, when Vettel's coming through, he moves left, and then Vettel moves left into him.
Oh yeah, it was stupid. It's a stupid move, but I still think that it's not. It's not blameless. Leclerc put himself in the position for that to happen.
But but he put himself there to get hit by Vettel.
I know what you're saying, but I just don't. I'm amazed that
victim blaming.
I mean, I've just parked my van outside. I mean, did I park it there for the guy who's drunk from the pub up there to just come and crash into it?
I think that wouldn't have happened between teammates that got on.
Well, I mean,
we know they don't.
No, that's what I mean. But
they were racing each other, and Vettel fucked up.
He did fuck up, but
it was his fault.
And being summoned to Maranello today is that's.
Big news, I'm sure, and I still think this might be Vettel's last season with Ferrari.
I think it's a possibility.
Yeah, but I don't. I don't think it's as clear cut, and clearly the stewards didn't get a penalty.
No.
So
they said the racing line was available for both drivers, and it was a racing incident.
Yeah,
but somehow.
So therefore, both pieces of blame apportioned equally, which is what I'm saying.
Even though it was Vettel's fault.
I say 100% Vettel's fault.
Oh, it's definitely Vettel's fault. But I'm just saying...
It was definitely Vettel's fault, but Leclerc was to blame.
No, that's not what I said. No, but that's not what I said. I'm just saying he's not blameless in it.
You're saying that Vettel shouldn't have driven into Leclerc?
Yes.
And Leclerc shouldn't have been driven into by Vettel?
I think if he had a teammate that was on fresher tyres, then...
Shouldn't have been fighting him.
You shouldn't have fought him.
But if you've got DRS and you're catching him anyway, you're not going to not use DRS.
But it makes no sense. It made no sense for him to overtake him and hold him up when you saw the craziness that was going on. That could have been a Vettel podium. The way
it should have been out. Should have been a Vettel podium, because he was going to be really fast in that second after the first safety car. We wouldn't have had a second safety car if it wasn't for the Ferraris.
This is why Vettel's the greatest driver in the history of Formula One.
Numbers say otherwise.
As do facts, but I don't care for those.
We've noticed. Right, predictions. Here are the facts. We had an extra guest predictor last week, so that meant there was a total...
I thought somebody had guessed Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz.
No, that was the top three. I'll get to that in a minute.
That was the post-prediction.
I was like, who was that?
I'll get to that in a minute.
Fucking Oracle's starting to put guesses in.
There were... So there were 7 of us predicting overall on the race last week.
Yeah.
6 people went for a Verstappen win. Lee didn't.
Nope.
Basically, everybody's ended up with 3 points.
Because we
to
went
be
for
fair,
a Verstappen
I
win.
did say I need to gamble here to make points up.
You did, and I mean...
Did you gamble on Gasly?
No.
Did you gamble on Sainz?
No.
I did. I put money on Carlos Sainz getting a podium, and I was unhappy after qualifying because I thought that's it, no podium for Sainz. I just need to make sure they actually pay out.
You should have bet after qualifying.
Should have bet after qualifying, yeah, quite right, would have got better odds. But anyway.
So basically, everybody went for a Verstappen win apart from Lee, who said Hamilton, and Lee, you had Verstappen in third. Mm-hmm. Nobody else got any of the top 3.
Can you just read out my prediction? Because a couple of laps from the end, it was looking good for a 9-pointer.
When you went for Verstappen, Hamilton and Albon?
Yeah.
You were close. You were incredibly close. However, I think Predictor of the Week has to go to Joel Benedict.
Yes, absolutely. Lee doesn't know about
name.
this.
Who did a request a bet.
No.
Listen to this, a request a bet.
Sent us a message saying, what a race. Sadly, I didn't put a bet on a Gasly podium, but I did manage this really weirdly specific request a bet. 100 to 1 on a Verstappen win, a Hamilton podium, Raikkonen top 6, Giovinazzi and Kvyat to get
Hamilton
points.
podium.
Yeah, but it'll have got paid out. It'll have got paid out if they pay out on podium place on where they cross the line. Mm-hmm. That, he is our new prediction god with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I reckon we normally do this the week before. Joel, you need to be our predictor for the last race, guest predictor for the last race of the season.
Yeah, jump on board, Joel.
Yeah, that was hell of a prediction. Right,
jump on board,
how
Joel Benedict.
did people do in the website prediction league? And the answer is bloody terrible. Although, quite fittingly, as it was all about number 55,
wasn't Kieran Thompson quite close to getting a full complement of points?
Verstappen, Hamilton, Albon.
Oh, he went for the same as me.
Yeah. But we had 5 people scoring 5 points, and it was all about number 55 this weekend.
Yeah, it was.
So all to play for, 1 race left. If you want to take part in the predictions, they are open now for Abu Dhabi, but I probably wouldn't recommend it until you've actually seen at least FP1.
So Kieran actually did get the fastest lap and the pole sitter and the winner. He had the same second and third as me, which would have been a full house had Hamilton not. Albon, yeah.
Oh, so that would have been a full house if that was actually the result.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you got like that famous bit of commentary, that would have been a goal if the keeper hadn't got there. Well, it's kind of his job.
Shall we shunt it?
Let's do it.
I'm going to temporarily shut this. There will be Formula Lee after this.
That's what I was just
good. You feel free to chip in on the YouTube comments. We're not allowed to read them.
And as all YouTube can see, the laptop is shut. The phone is...
This one was sent in by Scott J. Ram. Ram? Yeah, Ram.
Scott J. Ram?
Yeah.
R-A-M?
Yeah.
Sounds like a NASCAR team.
Scott
J. Ram Racing.
It sounds like... Scott J. Ram. Like his name's Scott J. Ram,
Yeah.
but like he's made like the J part of like an initial. Yeah. Okay.
I was born
Yay.
in 1987.
No.
Okay.
32.
But a child.
I drove in Renault-based series for 2003 and 2007 and took 5 years to achieve my first win.
5 years?
So we're looking at somebody a bit crappy in Clio Cup and Euro Cup then.
Kevin Magnussen's not 32, is he?
Not yet.
When did Formula Renault 3.5 finish?
About 3 years ago.
So
it was going, but it was going
could be a bit of that.
Going for fucking ages.
I got into GP2, F2, in 2008.
Okay.
I'd like a guess, please.
Palmer's not that old, is
no,
he?
Palmer's not even 30 yet.
When did Valsecchi win Formula 2?
That was about 2008, wasn't it? 2009.
Yeah.
And he's about 32. Well, no, he's probably a bit older than that because he quit racing, didn't he, when he realised he wasn't getting into Formula 1. And he was about 28, 29 when he did that.
Well, I thought it was a bit younger. I thought it was about 26 when he
well, maybe.
when he packed it in. I think that's a good shout for the first one.
Yeah, Davide Valsecchi.
In my first season of GP2, I crashed in Istanbul at 175 miles an hour.
Ouch.
Ow.
That's going to hurt.
In that team's short 5-year history of GP2, they achieved 3 wins, one of which was me in Monza.
So Valsecchi would have won a home race if it was him. We're looking at someone like Pastor Maldonado.
Oh, that could be a good shout.
Crashing at 175 miles an hour does seem like a very Pastor Maldonado thing to do.
Crashing could just seem like a very Pastor Maldonado thing to do.
Any miles per hour.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Scott, but I am shortening these questions as they are detailed AF.
Are we talking Susie Kennedy prediction length?
Maybe not that long, but it's definitely spanned 3 messages so far.
Okay.
The team I got my first GP2 win with attempted to join F1 in 2010.
So who tried to move up then?
Well, Manor moved up, didn't they? Were they were GP2 before? Well, they weren't GP2, were they? They were.
Who didn't try and start a team in 2010?
They were WEC.
Yeah.
Pro Drive. Then again, Pro Drive try and put an entry in every year.
Not quite. But Hispania racing team.
Which was Campos at first.
Campos Meta.
But they actually did put an entry in.
Yeah,
well, it was Hispania by the time it entered.
Didn't say they were successful or not.
Yeah, Campos got the entry and then it became they sold out to Hispania, and Campos is still a thing.
Tony Fernandez's Lotus entry was a full team from scratch, wasn't it?
That was entirely new.
Yeah, it wasn't we're bringing a team from a lower formula.
No, and of course, man was building sports cars in a shed in Sheffield.
Yeah,
we'll do Formula 1. What's worse that could happen?
That doesn't help us a lot, does it?
No, it doesn't a great deal, no. Just trying to think other teams that have tried to move up from GP2 to F1.
And which drivers drove for them, of
course. Yeah. Do we need a guess on this one?
Please.
Ooh, hell.
Should we stick with what we've got?
Bruno Senna?
Grosjean?
Maybe.
Could be.
Could be any of them. I don't know how old Bruno Senna or Romain Grosjean are.
I think Grosjean would be about 32, wouldn't he?
That sounds about the right age. Should go Grosjean for the second guess.
Can do.
Yeah.
I have won the GP2 championship.
As has Romain Grosjean.
In that season, I won 3 out of 4 races that were held in Bahrain.
What?
Not sure.
Didn't GP2 used to throw in the extra meeting every so often? Because there was, what was it, a couple of years ago, they had an extra one in Valencia.
Yeah, just to make it up.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it was like a GP2 and 3 weekend.
This particular shunt is requiring more GP2 knowledge than
Formula One
than most of us have.
It's still motorsport, but
it is. Yeah,
I'll go. I think Grosjean's still a good shout.
I first tested an F1 car at the Young Driver Test in Abu Dhabi for Hispania Racing.
I think it is Valsecchi, because he has had F1 tests.
Right.
Yeah, Valsecchi also tested Lotus a few times.
And of course, Grosjean's first F1 drive was testing
after PK.
Yeah. Well, he was testing Renaults before.
Yeah, but that was before HRT were a team, so it's not Grosjean.
Yeah.
Are you ready for your last clue?
No, I think it could be Valsecchi.
Yeah. I have won the GP2 Asia Series.
I don't know if Valsecchi won it. Did Pastor Maldonado win it?
No not idea. Entirely sure.
If he did, he probably caused as much damage down there as Godzilla did.
Is there a Spaffer?
Yeah, but there's no point because it'll just give it away.
I think Valsecchi is pretty much the only GP2 driver, or GP2 championship winner, who hasn't made it into Formula One, isn't he?
He's the only one that springs to mind, yeah. Yeah, I reckon. Do you want to say it?
Are you Davide Valsecchi?
I am commentary bellend Valsecchi.
Nice one, Dan.
Well done, Dan, after clue 3. Yeah. Brilliant. Nice one. And thank you, Scott, for sending that in. That's really good.
Right, how do you send a total shunt in?
You can tweet me at a total shunt. You can send me a PM on Twitter, or you can send me PM on Instagram as well.
And you can also send them to 3Legs4wheels@gmail.com, which is our general email address. And if you want to get hold of the rest of us on Twitter, we are
at Flood21,
at Dan Dankleton,
at Pablo100, and obviously at 3Legs4wheels, and Sean is at Sean Cowper.
If anyone has sent me a total shunt on either Instagram or Twitter, and I haven't done it yet, and you're thinking, where's my shunt? Give me a reminder next week.
There you go then. Right, quick Formula Lee results. We only had 20 entries for this one. So
IndyCar points.
Everybody gets a point. Oprah points. You get a point, and you get a point, and you get a point. So I'm only going to do the top 5.
I entered, but we didn't look at the Xbox.
Oh, we didn't look at the Xbox ones. Tell you what, I'll get the Xbox ones off you during the week. We'll do the big reveal next week.
Yes.
On who came where. But in the meantime, challenge for Abu Dhabi. Last race of the season. Let's have it dry in a Mercedes.
So it seems fitting, doesn't it?
It does. You've got until the Monday after the race.
I hope it rains.
So you got till the Monday after the race, 7 o'clock UK time, 2 o'clock Eastern. Get your times in, and we'll do this week's results next week. And I think next season we're going to do the results a week later, so I'm not scrambling round filling in spreadsheets when I'm on my way here.
It makes sense doing it when there's a middle week as well, doesn't it? To give people more time.
Yeah. So we're gonna shake things up a bit for next year. I haven't worked out what yet, but next year's next year.
Yeah, there'll be differences. Like the year will be a different year.
That is true. That is true. Right, if you want to hear more of us or see more of us, because we streamed it on YouTube for the first time tonight, you can do that by going to patreon.com/3Legs4wheels. Sign up there and
someone's just said there was no Williams in Formula E. If there was no Williams, should we do it in Williams?
We've had it in a Williams.
Have we?
Yes.
You're a fucking liar.
There hasn't been a Williams in F1 2019 yet, but we did it earlier on in the season.
So if we haven't used the 2019 car, let's do it in that. Big salute to the fastest fruit machine in the West last race.
You'll get a chance to do it early season before the new game comes out.
Yeah.
So.
I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, so it'll run. We'll keep it in Mercedes. Might as well.
Why not?
So let's have a fast one to finish it off. Yeah, you can subscribe to our Patreon from as little as $1 a month. Keeps us in things that stop technical cock-ups happening, like what happened earlier.
Yeah,
I'll be doing some creative editing on this before it comes out on the podcast platform. And you'll get to see the Patreon shows on YouTube now, and we're going to do the odd Q&A on there as well.
Mm-hmm. Which we're going to do now?
We're going to do a Q&A on here for the YouTube viewers.
Yeah.
But for everyone that's listening, thank you very much, and we'll be back next week with a preview of the last race of the season.
I can't wait. I hate
it's emotional.
It's been a good season.
It's been all right, but I always think as soon as the championship's over, let's just ditch it. Let's just ditch it.
People like you that double points Abu Dhabi was invented for.
Absolutely.
I want double point sprint for Abu Dhabi.
On that note, we'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. I genuinely want it to rain.
Yeah, we don't often get wet Abu Dhabis, do we?
It rained the day before practice. Was it last year or the year before? And it was hell, apparently, because none of the infrastructure copes with drainage for rain, because it rains 3 days a year.
Mike McPherson, I missed the rains down in Abu Dhabi. And I know for a fact you're on the Scotch tonight, Mike. You tweeted me a photo of it.
That was Santerio Nasty, wasn't it, who said about there's no Williams in Formula E?
Yeah. There we go. There's the photo. Mike on the Scotch. He's on Balvenie tonight.
Nice.
Good choice. Good choice.
And he's watching us by lots of things as well.
Yes, he is. Because there's his comments. David, as long as the internet works. Yeah, true.
Yeah, well, it does for now.
You got a memory card?
Oh, yeah, that'd help, wouldn't it?
If we're watching ourselves live, why can't we see ourselves doing anything?
Well,
cheers, Michael.
You stopped the stream?
No.
Why is it frozen?
No.
Because we sat still when the show ended.
Can everyone else still see us? Just.
There we are.
There we are. It's just Paul's rubbish laptop. You need to get into IT or something, Paul.
No, I'll turn it off and turn it back on again. Where's the podcast? I don't know. He's kicking about somewhere.
Yeah, he's probably asleep. It's late.
Yeah, probably asleep. Was not impressed when I woke him up a little while ago.
Right. Anyone got any questions about tonight?
What was your favourite part of the show?
Probably when Lee was right about Leclerc. That's what people would say.
Yeah, I'm just going to roll back to some of these comments.
No, there was not a lot of people who were right, who were saying that was...
Look, the truth is the truth, no matter whether people accept it or not.
I don't think
but it also has to be true.
The comments don't go far enough. That's a shame. Thomas Gibbons, I think Vettel is fed up with F1 and wants to leave, but doesn't want to end his career after such a clumsy season. Do you know what? Could be.
I don't think he wants out of Formula One.
I think he wants to put things right, but good Lord, he's been mistake-laden now for 2.5 seasons. 2 seasons.
Definitely 2.
Definitely.
Because last year was the year of spinning in the middle of corners, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was Germany, wasn't it? So 1.5 seasons, 1.5 full seasons of mistake-laden Vettel, and he's won 1 race. Should probably have won in Russia, but I mean,
get well soon, Jeff's cat.
Jeff's cat's not well.
No, Jeff just said he's got a cat.
Get well soon, Jeff's cat.
And good night, Niska.
So, yeah, Niska, that's staying up late. That's some dedication to the cause. Thank you very much.
Pushing 1 o'clock in South Africa.
Your support is much appreciated.
Although I'm not, I don't agree with you on the thoughts on our Tashi's looking good.
Who said that?
Niska.
No, I don't think they look good either.
It's a funny definition of good.
There's somebody asking.
Maybe good means something else in South Africa.
Somebody there's just asking, how do you think of the race as a whole? I thought it was one of the best dry races in a long time. It was incident laden. It wasn't. The racing was because of the incidents up until Bottas's retirement. It wasn't a classic Brazilian Grand Prix, but it turned into it because of the incidents, not necessarily because of the racing.
Yeah, it's shenanigans. It makes for a really interesting result and a kind of race that we like to see, but
it's not racing, is it?
No. If it wasn't for the safety cars getting thrown out every 10 minutes, it would have been a boring race.
It wasn't for Bottas. If Bottas's car was able to retire in a safe place, we wouldn't have had the second safety car period.
He retired in the perfect safe place,
and then it got
still
stuck.
It caused craziness.
Says a lot though for proof that the Mercedes can't follow, because now it even kills the engine when they try and follow somebody too closely.
Yeah,
I mean 2021 can't come soon enough.
Yeah, Thomas Gibbons there saying the race was boring before Bottas retired. He's right. And Mike asking, have Austin and Brazil laid good groundwork for Albon to advance as a driver in 2020? Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. He's seriously come on this season.
Yesterday was a great drive from him.
Yeah.
We were seeing kind of elbows out Albon that we've not seen before.
Yeah, and Austin was great recovery as well from that first corner incident with Carlos Sainz.
I don't think there's any doubt that Red Bull made the right decision. With the drivers.
No, I think they've chosen the right drivers for Red Bull and the right drivers for Toro Rosso.
Should there be a mandatory safety car 15 laps from the end? No, because NASCAR do something very similar.
Someone has been listening to my hot lap because I joked about that yesterday.
Did you? Yeah. No. Lewis asking the safety car
to
speed up. So
the hot lap's about NASCAR then?
No. Strangely enough, it might be if Jenson Button goes there. Did you see that tweet?
No, I thought they were doing a new race that's starting at Bathurst.
No, he was tweeting he tweeted a NASCAR driver about he's joined a team. I don't know, it's NASCAR. I only follow professional motorsports.
Maxine saying that France seems so long ago.
Yeah,
so true, so true. We haven't had a race that bad since that race.
I don't think we've had a race as bad as France for maybe about 3 years beforehand.
Yeah.
That was a terrible race, and we look forward to going back there next year.
That was Monaco levels of dull.
Even Monaco wasn't that dull this year. It was just...
At least Monaco's got the danger. You watch it always thinking,
you never know when Jensen's going to punt you into the barriers.
No, that's true. He deserved it, that guy.
Pascal Wehrlein.
Holding him up like that.
Yeah. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
Sideways into the barriers. Oops.
And as it turns out, that position is now known as hanging like a cow.
Ah, dear. Let's take a moment to remember what Jensen did before the race.
Yes.
Peed
in Alonso's seat.
Yeah.
Oh, did anyone see during the notebook? There were
see you later, Mike.
During all the unpacking, Lance Stroll has gold on the back of his racing seat. Lance Stroll sits in a golden throne while he's racing.
Whoa.
That's fair enough. Thomas Gibbons saying, is it fair Hamilton got to spray Sainz's champagne? No, but Sainz got his own bottle. If you go on Instagram or Twitter and you look for Carlos Sainz, you'll see that they reopened the podium to allow the McLaren team up there. Norris, Andrea Seidel, everyone. And they had a little ceremony for Carlos Sainz all by himself. It's quite cool, actually. It was dark, but...
Yeah.
Henk saying, can we just bomb Paul Ricard? That way the track might get interesting. I think Lee said something similar a few weeks ago.
Yeah, great minds, but apparently that's terrorism.
Napalm sprinklers.
Oh, now there's an idea.
Nuclear fire bees. Yes. Anyone been listening long enough to remember that?
Yeah.
Probably
why Stroll's so slow. Yeah.
Who'd have thought? Gold is heavier than carbon fibre.
Gold's heavier than talent.
Yeah, but in Formula One, gold gets you about as far.
It does. It does. It is a shame, though. Like, he's kind of...
Rich?
He's not kind of rich. He's very rich. But he's the only, pay driver now, isn't he, really?
Santeri makes a good point here. gold has some heat management properties. They have gold on the International Space Station.
Well, he must have something to get the heat off himself. Because he should have it on. Did Mercedes give Sainz the champagne he sprayed with? Oh, we already spoke about that.
Yeah, it was... no, I think he got a fresh bottle of new champagne to spray.
They probably keep a couple of bottles spare in case they drop one of them or someone gets thirsty.
It's such a shame, though, for Sainz, isn't it, that it was his first podium.
Yeah, he didn't get to go up there.
Yeah. Same thing happened to Magnussen, didn't it?
I was going to say he's now a member of the K-Mag club.
Yeah. 2 out of the last 3 podiums for McLaren.
Yeah.
Didn't actually take place.
The difference is Sainz is probably going to get another chance.
Sainz will get another chance.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is great for them as well. It's going to spur them on so much for next year.
The closest thing Magnussen's going to have to a podium is taking somebody out that's in third.
What, trying to unlap himself?
Yeah.
I don't know. Magnussen might be the third car to finish in
maybe, yeah, but it's going to have to be like the Ocon's way of trying to get himself on the podium, isn't it?
I keep catching sight of myself on the YouTube video. I cannot wait to get rid of this moustache. I mean, we're doing Movember, which I don't think we mentioned on the podcast, did we?
We're looking ridiculous for charity.
Yeah, we are looking ridiculous for charity.
I'll post the link up tomorrow for the team. You can donate on that if you want us to carry on looking daft for another 12 days.
Was it that long?
Yes.
Come on. This is starting to irritate me a little bit now.
On the positive side, this means we are 60% done.
Okay.
Unless we make it to over $1,000, do you reckon, to do December as well?
No, I'm not doing December. Sod off.
No, because if we're doing Movember, then if it carries on to next month, it has to be Decembered.
I'm not doing Decembered.
I generally do Decembered.
Do you?
It's warmer.
Yeah.
I don't do beards. I don't do facial hair. This is extremely rare. Like the last time I did this was like 10 years ago.
Thomas Gibbons said about no one talking about the Halo doing its job again. I think people have just accepted the Halo, haven't they?
One of the McLaren drivers after the Rick Mag crash. I missed that. What happened after the Rick Mag crash? Was there debris?
I take it must have been debris, yeah.
Wasn't K-Mag third and it was Jensen that inherited a podium place?
I know K-Mag was second, Jensen was third.
In Australia 2013?
Yeah, both McLarens got podiums.
2014, possibly.
They shouldn't have got. Was somebody disqualified? Was a whole team disqualified?
I'm going to have to look this up, aren't I?
Yeah.
It was definitely Australia, wasn't it? It was the first race of the season.
It was Australia where K-Mag finished second and Jensen finished third.
Yeah. But they weren't on the podium.
No, I think...
Well, Button definitely wasn't on the podium.
I'm not sure.
No, it was Danny Rick that was disqualified. And K-Mag did get to take part in the podium. It was Button that got promoted after the event. Right. But it's still 2/3 of the last three McLaren podiums that haven't been celebrated on the podium.
Yeah.
So much for fact checking. You still don't.
Still don't what?
Do facial hair.
No. No, I still don't do facial hair. It's rubbish.
Facial hair is great.
First season since 2009, there's been 4 different engine manufacturers on the podium. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we've had all 4 on the podium now, haven't we?
Yeah. So Renault getting their podiums, just not in a Renault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, McLaren.
Yeah. They'll be back under new ownership, and then Renault again.
We'll be back as well. We're going to call it a night.
As it is 11 o'clock, and I wouldn't mind getting this mixed and ready to go tomorrow for about 11.
Thomas Gibbons saying there, if you watch the Sainz 20 to P3 vid on YouTube, you can see a bit of the wing hit the halo. Right, so the halo actually saved Carlos Sainz from probably not injury, but something unpleasant. Anyway, yeah, absolutely.
Major league distraction.
Could have messed his hair up.
Oh, good Lord.
Nothing could do that.
It's even if he got mastered, he'd still have good hair.
Yes.
It's like when Ericsson had the massive crash in practice at Imola. And he got out the medical car, not a hair out of place, and you were convinced they had a doctor and an emergency stylist in the back seat.
Maybe that was it. Maybe if that was why Massa got so injured, is because he just didn't have enough hair.
Could be.
That's a thought to leave everyone with. Right, this will be out tomorrow. For anyone that's still watching.
Yeah.
How many are there? 34 of you.
Wow.
Thank you everyone for joining with us.
Nice to have you with us.
He's waving.
And
like
that's
Mr. Chips.
Mr. Fish.
Mr. Fish.
Mr. Fish. Right. We are going. I will get this mixed because I've got 8 files to put together now.
Yeah. Bye.
See you later.
Get tired of waving.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.